This is light green pastel shorts. I was writing about a man who works on a boat. Perhaps it's on a small boat and takes the equipment to the fishers who go out on international waters. Drives home in a pickup truck. It's late in the night. It is actually not late in the night. There's a delay of 40 minutes of work. There are items and equipment. Oddly enough, there is a 120-watt alternator for a Ford truck involved, one that the fisherman had taken up from seashell and had handed him to drop off to a friend of his who was at the pier with another truck. The back covered by blue tarp, which housed mysterious things below. A heavy smoker, something about him, many obvious things about him. The word fucktard, for instance, just muttered like dirt inside his shoe. So therefore, there's a 40-minute delay of work. A wait for another boat to move. Something caught it up in a rope. Then the groceries, bright lights and expensive foods. The thing is that the prices get higher and higher. Hard to place a name to this. Steep prices, white walls and the tiled floors with little squares that are freshly mopped. So if you're imaginative, it seems like ice. Steepness of price could make you think of a steep slope. You're moving upwards. Actually, there's a literal ramp that goes upwards to a little room of the deli section. These little thoughts tumble out of his brain because his neighbor's child had entered a writing contest where he was supposed to describe one task and then use a metaphor. You say as if to make it similar. A metaphor is when you just say the word of the thing. He's packing up the truck now, thinking about it. To say he's pushed the cart up the ramp as if he was pushing a sled up the shoulder of a mountain. To say he took his cart and endeavored up the icy slope of the frozen deserts, navigating to the dizzying heights of a 50% markup since last year, that sort of thing. Seventh grade writers contest. Would they take a 42-year-old buying Nancy some ice cream for her kid's birthday cake? 14-year-olds have birthday cakes still. It's when he starts the car and drives out from under the parking lot's lampposts with their ceiling of yellow dish soap light. It's when he hits Dunsmuir Street, a small neighborhood street with small one-story houses, that he realizes how dark it is. See, that's the thing about when autumn happens. It's gradual, but not that gradual now. Minutes get chipped off the sunlight every day. So what happens is that you're consistently leaving work. You appreciate the sunlight, even though it's slightly less and less. It's when you're delayed for a while that you're driving out at 5:50 p.m. and because you're on an hour and a half later than usual, all those chipped away minutes have fallen in one big load. 2 months ago, which kind of seems like a week ago, it's a cute girl jogging in those pastel green jogging shorts with the split on the side of the thighs. You know, those Adidas ones. Now it's, well, I'll be damned. The cute girl is running under the lampposts, appearing and disappearing in those cones of light. Prelude to Halloween. Jason Voorhees is stalking her in this town. Someone once wrote that teenagers are like Kleenex tissues in horror movies. Teenagers get rated R, then there's X-rated. He briefly imagines her coming back to her boyfriend and her boyfriend's best friend and going upstairs to the top loft of his mom's house, which she allocated for him because he's not leaving town because he's under the wings of the local mechanic. She takes a final breath from the open window and watching the final slip of the orange sun before she returns to the guy on the bed who's not really hiding the surge in his pants. She's walking by her boyfriend's best friend, who's just sort of standing there, beer in hand. She's lying on top of her boyfriend because it's funny, it's a joke. Punchline is really what it is. The punchline is that she really does unzip his jeans. The punchline is that she hooks her fingers under the band of his underwear. The punchline is that she pulls out his underwear down. Have you seen Dune? When that giant worm appears out of the horizon all of a sudden? Then there's this great scene where Patrick Stewart takes the box to, someone and demonstrates to him the difference between a man and an animal. Put your hand in the box. So driving home, the back of his mind predicts all of this is happening. And there's something sad about it. X-rated is rated higher than R-rated. Steep slopes, more years is higher. Years passed with higher prices. He's dropped off a 240-watt alternator to a man who chain smokes more expensive cigarettes, which he imagines cancels out the discount of getting truck parks secondhand. A girl says goodbye to rated R. Maybe Jason Voorhees can fuck off because in real life it's the reverse of when teenagers are Kleenex tissues. Teenagers get dead when they lose their virginity. He's driving by a gaggle of children, prelude to Halloween. These kids have hoodies and sort of slouch a bit as they walk. There's the movie with someone and Hocus Pocus. There's Edward Scissorhands, sad little tall boy. There's really so much to dress up as. And none of these kids die. That's the thing. None of these kids die when they dress up as PG-13. He's driving to where the road opens up and the oncoming lane is divided by a strip of cement. There's no light that the sky is giving anymore. Wait, there's a bit of grayness actually. So if you squint, you can see the silhouettes of the pine trees. Thing is, he's speeding up his car and thinking of the booming sound in something song. He hasn't turned on the radio for some reason. He's driving out of town. The road curves and there's an option on the left where you can merge onto the highway, which takes you super speed to big places you want to go. And the other option is where he's going, where the streetlights are sparse and the spruce trees team up around them, parting for where you are going, looming over, curiosity-like, with curiosity. Hard to keep words lined up in your head. Someone deeply, deeply hates him. Someone existing up into or past the dark paper mulch of the clouds. There was a small apparition of this a week ago. Cameron, that wiry man, wouldn't say wiry, more like a flesh slapped onto coat hangers. 10 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago, his girlfriend, Cameron's girlfriend at the time, would report how Cameron wouldn't marry her because City Hall was too bureaucratic. Something about being a sensitive artist, even though they had been together for 8 years. Thing is, an unmarried woman couldn't own a bank account. So, if it was nothing to him, something wimpy about Cameron, hand-wringing and wiry, a preference. He would prefer she stuck around. He would prefer not to marry her. He would prefer something, some sort of arrangement. You can find that arrangement in the storyline of Super Mario when it's castle after castle to find the princess. Maybe you can find that arrangement if you drive the DeLorean at 60 miles per hour again and again down Lone Pine Shopping Mall until the electricity breaks around you and you zip into the past, a recursive loop. Cameron wanted something. She didn't know what. He strung her around for a hot minute, for 8 years, because he had a preference for not going to City Hall because it was too formal and stiff and oppressive even. So now 15 years later, wiry Cameron had come to him as he was loading up his black pickup truck. It was just 2 weeks ago, with the sun still shining because it was the regular end of work time. Just the sun being a little soap water-like, not as bright, hitting Cameron's face at an angle, revealing a man who had aged. Cameron was saying this thing. Look at you. You've got this truck. You're out there doing this job. I see you coming in with the sun on your back. I bet you go to the bar and sing sea shanties with the fishermen. Not quite. You're doing all this stuff. You're a story. You've got this beautiful dark-haired wife. So Cameron just stood there and rattled all the stuff that he had, citing Bruce Springsteen, like a Bruce Springsteen song. That's the problem with a mid-sized town. People are looking at you over a course of years. Cameron was on a lot of drugs, but still keeping the sensitive artist thing going on, still working, still somewhat gainfully employed selling art. He's released his girl years ago. She put up with it for actually 10 years. She wanted something, latched onto him for some reason. A theory was that she had set her sights pretty low. So he wriggled back and forth until finally she detached. Now he's without her. Buddy, shit, or get off the pot. Cameron is just a small apparition. Hopefully he'll go irritate someone else. A big form of this is whatever he's feeling in the clouds above him as he drives. Silly PG-13 movie. But more likely a big thing that created him, something cynical, a man of good work ethic who gets things done and brings ice cream to his neighbor. A man who's coming back to a dark-haired wife who lives with him in a house that's a few minutes down these roads. Turn up the driveway, has a house, will likely lie on his back with his head in his hands, imagining a girl with pastel jogging shorts turning away from the joke she made out of her boyfriend's jeans and rising up to take her boyfriend's best friend on the bed with her. That's his imaginary creation. He wonders who imagined him.